Hello, and welcome to the first in the series of the AMCS Voices and Visions series of webinars. My name is Conor Dowd, and I'm the Head of Product Marketing at AMCS. I'm your moderator for our webinar today. Our topic today is the 2024 AMCS Waste and Recycling Benchmark Report, which is the most comprehensive survey of its kind ever conducted in our industry. We have interviewed and gathered data from over 100 organizations of all sizes operating around the globe to deliver an expansive range of views on innovation, digital transformation, and sustainability. We are very, very grateful on this report to our partners, the International Solid Waste Association. The results of this survey are now published in our summary benchmark, which is available to download from our website, a link to which is available in the chat. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by two industry experts to help us dissect and unpack the insights and views contained in our benchmark report. The first is Miss Aditi Ramola, who is the Technical Director at the International Solid Waste Association, ISWA, where she manages international projects and partnerships with UN and provides assistance to working groups developing innovative projects around the world. Welcome, Aditi. My colleague, Mark Abbas, is also joining us. Mark is Senior Vice President EMEA, and he's over 3 decades experience of automation in our sector. Mark has managed digital transformation projects at some of the largest industry players worldwide. I hope I won't make a blush when I describe him as one of our foremost innovators and thought leaders in this area, and he's also been a champion of surveying the industry for their opinions and insights. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, Conor, nice to be here. Thank you.
And welcome, Aditi, again. So on March the 3rd, we released the AMCS Global Benchmark, which has been a full year in the making. As I said, we interviewed and we surveyed top-level executives around the world. It's really a one-in-a-kind report, comprehensive report, and we're hoping today what you learn about this report will encourage you to download it and read it and action on some of the insights. So our format today for the next 30 minutes is to focus on just literally a handful of talking points, which we hope will illuminate some of the insights and values. The report, as it suggests, is a benchmark report, so it'll provide all readers with reference points against which they can measure their views, their plans and performance. And we believe that this could prove very insightful and actionable for organizations planning both their sustainability and digital transformation journey. So briefly on the report, we believe that the report is a broad representation of our industry. We had respondents from over 20 countries in our survey, and it included all lines of business, municipalities, global multinationals, medium-sized and medium and small family-owned businesses. The median size of the company had 200 employees. The respondents were primarily from the C-suite. They were CEOs, owners, COOs, etc. And we believe that these respondents and their views, they reflect our experience of the industry that we meet every day in person and in the media. So let me start our discussion with our guests. And Mark, I'd like to start with you by starting with the why. Why was it important for AMCS to conduct this survey? And why do you think our audience should read this survey?
Right. Yeah, first of all, thank you to all the people, the customers and members of this industry who answered our survey. It's been great to see all these respondents coming in. And well, look, we've done this. This is the second time we're doing this, and for us, it's a very important tool, I would say, to gain in the first place, gain market insights. Right. We've got many people on the ground discussing challenges with customers, but to get the C-level perspective from the industry that we're serving, where are they investing and all of that is really valuable for us as a company, because it kind of dictates where we are investing as a technology company. We learn from our customers this way, what is working, what is not, what have you tried, where you continue to invest. But also it's very valuable for our customers or other companies in the industry, because you get insights, but it also allows you to benchmark yourself against the other peers in the business. So, you might be challenged on some area where other companies are really making good progress. So it really gives you that ability to benchmark and to learn how you can change the performance of your business.
Thank you. And indeed, if I turn to you, ISWA is a very research and survey driven. So what is the value of a report like this for your members?
Thanks, Conor, for having me on this wonderful webinar. It's a pleasure to be here with Mark. Yes, just going back to your question, ISWA, as you know, is a global member-based association, and we have members from all across the industry, the waste and resource management industry. They come from a diverse set of backgrounds, whether it's a collection company, it's a treatment company, it's a private player, MSME within the waste and resource management sector. And for them, they reach out to us a lot to get data about what's happening in the sector and also where the sector is moving towards. And this benchmark report, as Mark mentioned, is giving such a comprehensive insight into where we are at and where we're moving towards, whether it's, current trends, what strategies, what challenges are being faced, and what opportunities lie ahead for these companies. And so they love to have that kind of data, and this AMCS benchmark report, the second time around, is providing that key insight for them. And just to say, yes, we are a research-oriented organization, and we do this because, what happens is that when people come to us with questions, we are able to understand the needs and preferences of our members through these kind of focus group discussions or surveys and so on. And it's very important because we also then know what the customers, your customers or the companies that we have as members, what are their customers requiring? What kind of services are they looking forward to? And so this kind of a report, when it's done on, whether it's a biannual basis or an annual basis, it provides a lot of insights for the companies that are ISWA members. And that's where I'd like to, congratulate you on this wonderful benchmark report.
Thank you. Thank you, Aditi. So let's start by unpacking what we revealed as the top 3 business challenges facing companies in our survey over the next 3 years. And the top 3 business challenges, as you can see, the standout business challenge by some margin is finding skilled staff for the sector. This is then followed by 2 challenges with an equal weighting at 50%. One is using business intelligence to analyze and understand business and optimize business performance. And the second is to harmonize or streamline business processes across an organization. So first question for you, Aditi, is what strategies do you think that an organization can employ to mitigate staff shortages, particularly to attract maybe a more diverse staff that it can upskill for a greener future?
Thanks, Conor. When I first read the report, it was a surprise and not a surprise that the industry is facing challenge attracting and retaining skilled staff. And but the fact of the matter is that it's not very unique just to our industry. So the world is facing that challenge, and our sector, especially the waste and resource management sector, we face unique challenges. Of course, the one is the perception of the industry, the nature of the work. Of course, I mean the employee health and safety is also a big factor there, and the fact is that as our sector evolves, as we get more digital, as the industrial 4.0 takes over, which it is, you need an evolving skill set. You also need technological advancement, and several times the employees can sometimes face those barriers. So to look for these kind of qualified candidates in a very competitive job market becomes quite challenging for the sector. And so what could be done here is, we can invest in digital literacy training, provide upskilling programs to employees, help them, prepare for the integration within the digital technology that's happening in the space. And AMCS, I think, does a fantastic job of that. You can do that by partnering with educational institutes and so on and so forth. And, just taking those programs forward. And of course, it goes without saying that any kind of job that you're going to offer them has to be competitive in terms of the market, whether the benefits or the compensation, it must be competitive. Otherwise, we are going to lose these talented employees to other sectors. So these are a few things that we can be doing. And yeah, I think AMCS does a good job of that as well.
Thank you. And Mark, could I ask you to share with us perhaps some of your experience? I know you've been a champion working with a local trade association in attracting graduates and interns into the sector.
Yeah, so we collaborate with the local member of ISWA, which is the NVRD, where we are bringing in young talent on a rotation schema into our business and it's actually interesting. So the association then gives these youngsters the opportunity to rotate their job inside a number of companies, in 3 different companies. So they can work for a municipality, they can work for a technology company, and they could work for a commercial waste company in the next rotation. So it really helps, and what it's really valuable for us because it gives us insight of the younger workforce that comes into the business, to attract them into jobs, any jobs that are out there. So we're doing that obviously for a little bit technology-minded people or process-minded people, but you can imagine that making the business attractive for a younger generation is a very important thing.
Very good. And Mark, also in your experience, if we look at the 2 other business challenges, where do you see companies, or how do you see companies, which areas do you see them employing automation to address staff gaps?
Yeah, so it's interesting if you link the two together, right? So, but for the staff gaps, if you think about from a technology perspective, okay, so what can we do to make this job more attractive? There's a couple of things. First of all, we recognize this because all of our customers are telling us they have driver shortage and especially in the operation side, lack of personnel, and this is across the industry. So there's a couple of things I think we can do, right? And it is in the first place, I think to make the job to make it more efficient. Okay, so first of all, there's still a lot of inefficiency in these companies. Probably also relates to analyzing business performance as the second figure here on the slide. So obviously we provide tools to kind of optimize, and this is not just to reduce the number of people that you need, but also to harmonize, to more even out the business over your assets and your trucks and your personnel, which can really help, reducing the pressure on some of the guys. So make it less stressful. The other thing, I think we have a big obligation as a technology company, together with our customers, to make it a very safe environment for our customers. So health and safety in the truck when you're on the road is very important. So providing tools like preventive maintenance, so we know that the truck is going out on the road in a safe manner, is very important. Helping the driver also when you have new people coming in on board, helping them to learn quickly, what they need to do to understand the specific business needs or the specific scenarios and situations is very important. That's what we can help. On the back office side, because it's not only in the operational staff that we're talking about, because on the back office side, it's our job to modernize our solutions, to make it easy for the new generation to easily adopt our solutions, which we are putting a lot of effort in at AMCS. And I guess just giving them the tools to automate, let's say, the repetitive work. Right, so yes. They can use their brains for the real important stuff out there.
Okay, very good. Thank you. I'm going to move to the next talking point, was where we asked respondents to rank their top investment priorities for the next 3 to 5 years. And again, the survey indicates the industry, it has set its sights on moving to a more efficient mode of operation, increasing efficiency, which is, I suppose, not surprising given the focus we've seen on staff shortages and inflationary cost concerns, but also more importantly onto a more sustainable business model that recognizes the importance of digital transformation to enable kind of a leaner, more efficient business model and a greener future. Compared to previous benchmarks we've seen now that sustainability is front and center with almost 50% of the companies, and it's a mainstream topic discussed in the boardrooms with customers, staff, stakeholders, financiers, etc. whereas a number of years ago, it barely featured, or it had a very narrow focus on recycling. So I suppose, Mark, a question I would have with you is, the industry wants to drive efficiency and improve sustainability. In your view, to what extent are these goals compatible and supporting? And can IT automation help them on these twin objectives of efficiency and sustainability?
Yeah, no, they are 100% connected. They need to be connected, right? Because, you know, there's a few drivers, of course, for sustainability. You know, there's the company belief, the company really want to go in that direction, which is obviously a good foundation. It could be legal frameworks that are forcing you to think about these things in a more sophisticated way, to improve your recycling rates, to improve your footprint, etc. But to get the majority to adopt the concepts of a sustainable environment, we need to make it profitable. We need to make it in business sense. So it's not just, it is the triple P, it is the people, planet, profit that is important. So this is why so many companies that are now being impacted by the SEC or the CSRD, that are not only, you know, they have to, from a legal perspective, have to kind of provide the reports, but now the focus is strongly on how can we make it efficient so we can actually accelerate things. And we see companies doing this ahead of the game as well. So there are loads of organizations bringing those two together to use it in the market before it's actually a requirement to report on from a legal perspective.
Thank you, Mark. Aditi, it's clear that companies can make a ready business case for certain sustainability initiatives, like moving to greener fleets and promoting recycling. But do you think, particularly in the context of staffing challenges, do you think they need to take a wider lens and look at a longer time frame to consider the value and return on other sustainability initiatives?
Absolutely. That's a really great question. And when you see these three circles here, and as Mark mentioned, of course, the PPP, the people, profit, planet, you know, goes hand in hand. People want to increase efficiency to get, you know, better returns on their investment and so on. But expanding this sustainability initiative to include a much broader scope and a longer term vision it can be highly beneficial, because it's going to improve sustainability, which is the second circle here. And a comprehensive approach to this would be going beyond just the immediate operational changes, such as, you know, taking a greener fleet approach or getting more recycling programs in and so on. Because if you take a longer term approach, it can have a much more far reaching effect on a company's sustainability. And for instance, you know, it could prove to be a very powerful recruitment tool, as we saw that you know, the sector is facing a recruitment challenge to engage employees. And so by having this longer term approach, companies can attract better talent that identify, you know, with the values of the company, and have a passion driven approach. And this could lead to a more productive workforce, you know, when people are aligned to the vision of the company as well. If sustainability, a long-term sustainability approach is the way to go, then people feel more, you know, invested. So it can also, you know, fuel the retention of employees or skilled employees that we've, you know, committed to making better and spend so much more time and energy to skill them, you know, to upskill them. So I think it's a good approach to have. And just to come back to when Mark mentioned the reporting requirements, having this long-term sustainability approach could also improve a company's reputation amongst consumers, amongst the customer base, and so on. Because, you know, a lot more companies now have to do these ESG reporting and so many other kind of reporting and so on. And so it could probably give the company a nice competitive edge, you know. So essentially, this long-term vision is a win-win for people, planet, and profit, I would say.
Thank you.
Conor, can I make one more remark on this? Because
please do.
One observation, what I see as well, which I think is intriguing, is that you also see a movement towards efficiency in the value in the market itself between companies. So you see more collaboration between companies that were previously competing, now working together to kind of get a more sustainable way of collecting waste inside the city center of a city, for instance. So, and this obviously helps a lot on driving the three elements here. You need to be you need to drive. You are driving efficiency. You will have a more sustainable collection process there, because you're sharing your clients in an area, and you need to have your business from an IT perspective, of course, well prepared for something like that.
Very good. Moving to talking point number 3, we asked respondents where they were going to prioritize their IT investments over the next 3 to 5 years. So as you can see here, the investment priorities, they're very closely aligned, ranging in a narrow band from 41% to 36%. The first two speak to me about driving efficiency and reducing costs with some sustainability contribution, whereas the next two around transport are they're more balanced around transport and logistics, and they're balanced between the financial and sustainability concerns that we saw surfaced in the last question, where companies are driving cost efficiencies by reducing fuel usage and by harnessing data and optimization algorithms. And I suppose the third is the recurring theme, which we've seen in this survey, of how do I harvest and leverage data and BI and AI to support smarter decision making. Why do companies in our sector, why do they find it so difficult to digitize their invoicing, given that this type of digital invoicing technology has existed for many years in other utility sectors?
Yeah, I'm somewhat amazed. On the one hand, Conor, it doesn't seem too complex to digitize your invoices, and in some cases it's not. But there is quite a bit of complexity that our industry has created before producing an invoice. It's in the complexity of how we charge, how we rebate, but also the proof of service that still a lot of customers require to have in their processes, where their end customers then need copies as a proof of service to be combined with this invoicing. So that process looks maybe easier at first hand, but it can get quite complex. So you need to look at it at that perspective. But these are things that we can automate. We can definitely help improve and make easier, and it takes a little bit probably from the organizations themselves as well to kind of standardize their processes again, so they don't have exceptions for many specific customers.
And from both of your perspective, and maybe we'll start with Aditi, what impact do you think AI will have in our sector, both in transport and MRF processing, and how would you expect this to expand over the next 10 years?
Just going back to what Mark said about digital invoicing, I think we're going to see the change in the next 2-3 years. I think people will be on board. As he said, it's not it's a low-hanging fruit. But coming back to your question, I think the impact of AI in the waste and resource management sector is already being felt, and it cannot be overstated. It's of course going to transform our industries. It's going to obviously revolutionize operations and efficiency and so on and so forth. You're already seeing that in like smart MRFs, in RFID tags for bins, so route planning and efficient logistics for collection and transportation. So all of that has already been transformed and is being transformed globally, not just in high-income economies and so on. It will help enhance maintenance practices as well of the fleet, and of course enhance data-driven decision making and so on. So the impact is going to be felt even more so in the coming 2-3 years, but even for the next decade or so, as the high-income economies already plateau with their transformation, and all of these being adopted in, say, low and middle-income countries as they also optimize and digitize their operations. So it's going to, of course, have a massive effect, and I would say in a positive direction, because as much as we can automate, we must to reduce, the safety incidents, and also like our workers touching the waste directly and so on. So I would say massive, in a short answer, massive.
Yeah, and to add to that, what Aditi is saying, in a very short time frame, in the last year, we kind of developed 4 really practical use cases around AI. Just looking at it from a collection point of view in the truck. So what can we do there using camera technology, using AI to detect what's actually being disposed inside the truck before it kind of tips on the landfill or at the transfer station or at a recycling facility. So these are use cases around detecting gas canisters, which is a big problem now with trucks on fire and all of that stuff. It is around contamination, right, to educate and all of that. Other use cases are out there. It's just we're scratching the surface, right? So it's very important if you look at investing in this to also look at flexibility, because if you, what I think software platforms need to be open to consume multiple AI data sources and algorithms to be capable of dealing with all the, let's say, opportunities and challenges that we will be facing. So don't look at only the closed systems, but at the same time, be aware that you don't use publicly accessible data, because if you want to expose your data into, with the public, which could be very much violating your internal data protection policies and so on. So it's a warning at the same time, but we will see a lot of this happening, a lot of use cases. From an ERP side, on an ERP side, you will see quite quickly, we're already working on things like this, implementing that in our software, that you can use natural language to ask questions like, when is the next opportunity for me to empty this bin, in a dialogue way, interacting with your data, rather than drilling down to that data in a very complex way using a regular UI. This is all already technically possible, and you see companies like ourselves and others are integrating that in their standard tools to make life a lot more easier and efficient.
Now we look at the fourth talking point, which is the human factor, and how the industry is feeling about their ability to integrate new technology and to get their people on board. Now, the answer is that the industry is feeling good, but not great. 64% of companies felt positive about their ability to integrate new technologies. They're open to innovation, but the biggest barriers, as we can see here, are by far are people-related, resistance to change and getting employees engaged and on board. And as we all know, that people can be both enablers or deterrents to digital transformation and organizational change at the same time. So one figure before we start that stands out to me here, Mark, is the low marks of that for staff comfort with mobile devices, 5.2 out of 10. Are you surprised by this figure, and what lessons do you think that has for solution providers like AMCS?
Yeah, you probably have to look into the context of the answers here a little bit. So staff comfort with mobile devices. If you look at it from a truck perspective, if you're a truck driver and you look at the dashboard from a truck driver these days, you got 5-6 different screens and mobile devices that he's operating, his cameras, his RFID system. He might have a route sheet and a telematic solution, and there's loads of information and interaction. This is a harsh environment to work in, while he needs to keep his eye on the road. So from this perspective, the vision should be make all these applications headless, right? And headless, I mean, without a UX as much as we can, without a user interface, let the system guide the driver and tell him what to do at a specific moment in time, at a specific location, in more with voice to text or text to voice. Those kind of things. Other things are, there's technology out there where you can just harmonize a lot of these data of applications can be combined into one single box or into one single screen. And thirdly, of course, you really have to make a user-centric design here. If you operate a mobile device in a yard or in a truck or somewhere else, again, it's a harsh environment, but it's a different user experience. So you have to design for the purpose and for the use, and not just think it's a web application where I just have a few buttons that I can then use in the car, which is shaky and bumpy on the road and so on. So yeah, that's probably driving this number at a shocking 5.2, I would say.
And Mark, as a follow-up question on the training aspect to support change management, it can be quite challenging, obviously, for a large waste and recycling company to get the variety of staff trained across the organization, many of whom, as you've mentioned, are not traditional desk workers working, with a laptop or a desktop. So again, have you seen good examples of successful training programs, online training programs, to help engage staff and to get them comfortable with new applications and change?
Yeah, let me go back into history a little bit, because I see some changes for the good and the bad in the way companies think about change management and education of their staff. Let's say not too long ago, like 5-6 years ago, decisions were made really top down, and it was just, we select the tools that the management thought was effective for the users, and they just threw it out there, push it through their throats, and then they had to deal with it. So you get a lot of resistance when you start using those tools from day one. Now, recently you see the opposite happening, which is also giving some challenges, and this is that we're bringing all our users in from the beginning into the evaluation of alternatives, of solutions. This is also not the right way to do it, because everybody will come with his own, let's say, little workspace in mind to a generic session. That's causing a lot of fun. It actually has the opposite effect. Okay. So what you should do is really see I think change management as a core stream or a key team in your project, where you start working with a core team with people that are open-minded to change, because things will be different when you implement new tools, and have an impact and have some authority or respect in the rest of the workforce, and help them to demonstrate the benefits of the solution at a later stage to the rest of the end users. But then to scale that again, and you mentioned e-learning, right? To scale that, that's also difficult. So we have an online academy for all of our end users. We build curriculum specifically for them, that they can take a course at any time when it's appropriate for them, a video course with a voice and explanation, and then they can take an exam. So also, as a manager, you need to understand, not just did my staff go through the training course, but did he actually understand it before I throw them out there? So building in, and that's what we've done as well, we built in simple tests, but then kind of that can demonstrate and eventually lead to a certification of a specific role. And that has helped a lot in improving the adoption. Yeah.
And Aditi, what strategies do you think can be used by your members to involve employees in a digital transformation process from the outset, to try and engage them to maximize their involvement and the success of the project?
Thanks, Conor, for that question. And I want to go back to what Mark said. That's a very interesting perspective, actually. The fact that both ways, don't work very well. So if you come with a top-down approach of saying, the management chooses the software to be used and gives it to the employees, then you're going to get that 5.2 on 10 marks. And then if you bring everybody to the table, each and everyone with their own, perspectives, their own preferences, and that can be challenging too. So there's got to be a middle path, and I think Mark described that really well. Of course, organizational culture plays a crucial role here. Kind of having a very supportive environment for this digital change, whether it's through e-learning, through these focus group discussions, to maybe start with a representative cohort. They basically represent the whole the user base, and bringing them on this small cohort. So I'm not saying everybody, but that small cohort from very early on, when you start looking at which digital tools you might want to take on, and start very transparent communication with them, and say, please give us your honest feedback. Tell us where you see the challenges happening. Can you also share that with your cohort? Bring that up to the table, and so on. And of course, having this proper training and upskilling program in place already to showcase it to the wider user base can also help with the success of that digital transformation. And I think what Mark was alluding to as well is to have these kind of few people who understand what system is coming as as change management. So have these kind of change champions who can empower people within the organization to move and to adopt those digital tools that are coming back and so on. And then, of course, to have a robust feedback mechanism, because we see that it's not easy, and especially as Mark said, the drivers have to focus on the road, but now all these systems are in place which are very complicated, and they need to be, keeping in mind all these different numbers that they see on the screen and so on. So to make sure that you're getting that feedback in place always, to see, what are the challenges that they're facing when they're coming into this new digital space. And of course, recognizing these change champions, the ones that are spearheading the good work. And so making sure that they get rewarded in some small, even if it's just a small, like a certificate or so on, celebrate their milestone, they have a small achievement, I don't know, get a separate certificate, and the CEO of the company recognizes them in some ways. I think that can have a quite a beneficial role as well to kind of nudge them along that digital transformation journey that is going to happen, is bound to happen in the next 3-4 years.
That's excellent, Aditi. There's plenty of food for thought there and ideas that are actionable. And it brings to mind that one of our customers, Suez UK, who have a very successful employee engagement program in sustainability, and they have really reached out and implemented a program for all types of workers, from recycling centres, operational and transport and office based. So there's a lot of food for thought and ideas there. And the final talking point is looking at the relationship between sustainability and innovation. And clearly, as we've already seen in earlier slides, sustainability was a priority for nearly half of respondents. And the main areas called out in the survey for investment and priority are staff training in health and safety practices and better recycling practices, and particularly in liaising with customers, end customers and waste producers, to have better waste and recycling segregation practices. We're also seeing too, the survey is showing that the industry is looking to reduce its own carbon footprint in terms of greening its plant and equipment, moving to more efficient use of energy, and moving to alternative and renewable fuels, to EV, solar panels, etc. So clearly, the sector has a strong interest in promoting recycling and sustainability, and particularly in improving resource quality, to play a greater role in the circular economy. So I suppose, Aditi, at a very, very high level, in terms of your conversations with members and your dealings, do you see evidence now that supports the view that the sector sees sustainability really as driving innovation, bringing in, moving away from business as usual, whereas previously it might have looked at sustainability as a cost center and as a compliance issue?
Absolutely. I mean, scaling up sustainable innovation has become part of everyday conversation. It used to be looked upon as something that you needed to tick a box on, but companies have very quickly realized if they want to improve efficiency, if they want to have better employee retention, sustainability needs to be at the core of what they're doing as a company. And of course, this presents challenges for them because it's, there's a completely diverse regulatory landscape, as Mark mentioned, there are reporting standards and so on. And there are, of course, if you're a global player, you're working with absolutely different regulatory landscapes in different countries and so on. And of course, there are cultural differences to be taken into account, but there is absolutely great opportunity for companies to work with sustainability at their core, because that's the way the world is going. I mean, we are limited in resources. We have planetary boundaries. If you want to look at the bottom line, which is essentially what most companies exist to do, if they don't have a good profit return on investment, they do not survive. And I think more and more the conversation is moving towards the fact that, in fact, having sustainability as your core improves the chances of your, success for a longer period of time. So we are seeing that definitely within the sector as well. And you see that with different reporting requirements that keep coming along, and the discussions on circular economy and so on.
Thank you. And Mark, would you like to add anything to that based on your experience and what you're seeing in the market?
Yeah, I think it's a necessity to adopt that as a concept, right? To attract staff in the first place, because the younger generation is just expecting this to win contracts, right? More and more, to win contracts as a waste hauler, you are required to demonstrate your sustainability practices and goals and roadmap. And of course, thirdly, of course, just from the regulation side, I like the education of customers a lot in this specific area, because there's a lot of work to do still to educate customers. I see a big role for producer responsibility, but also for consumers to think about more in how they consume products and what they really need in the process from that product to help, let's say, drive sustainability. So we have to really continuously communicate and feedback to the community about what we can improve as a company. And on equipment, and lastly then on investment in equipment, I think the electrification of the fleet of our waste haulers is a big thing. Of course, there's technical challenges here and there, but there's incentives now. Government is sponsoring some initiatives. The EU is sponsoring initiatives like that. It is a massive change again, because all of a sudden, also from an efficiency perspective, we need to completely reschedule the routes now, because the batteries don't last for 8 hours that the truck was used to drive. So it comes with challenges, but I'm sure we will overcome that, and it will definitely help driving towards the sustainability goals that the EU and other governments have set.
And can I ask you, Mark, too, 1/5 of respondents have yet to define any sustainability strategy. That's a bit concerning. How do you think we can help them? And maybe, Aditi, you can give us a view here. How do you think companies like AMCS and member organizations like ISWA can help them get a start on developing a sustainability strategy?
You go first, Aditi.
Go ahead. No, Mark, go ahead. Go ahead first. I'll come
from our perspective as AMCS, we organize a lot of educational sessions with our clients just to make them aware, first of all, on what the requirement actually is, because it can be quite complex. If you're a big company, you got a whole staff to look after this. But if you are smaller, but you will be part of the reporting requirements at some stage. So just to educate our customers on what is actually expected from them, what they need to do, share some of the practices, and also from an automation perspective, what should you be expecting from a piece of software to help you provide the needs. This is definitely where we can play a role. So reaching out to AMCS, look at our website and sign up for some of the webinars we organize, or ask for a consultation with some of our staff would definitely be one of the recommendations. But the other one I think is for Aditi, is that there's also a big role for the industry bodies, organizations there, I think.
Exactly. I mean, just building off of what Marcus said, I mean, ISWA, the International Solid Waste Association, is this member-based organization where we have a host of member companies. We have an AMCS leader in their field, and then we have smaller companies starting out, small businesses or maybe entrepreneurs starting out. And so we provide a good platform for that kind of knowledge exchange, this kind of a peer-to-peer learning. And if you access our website, you can see all our members. You can access the AMCS website and check out their webinars and so on to learn where the industry is going. This benchmark report, I think, provides a very good platform or some sort of a vision for what your company, if you want to survive here, what you need to be doing. Because if companies fail to innovate and embrace that change, that's change management, or something that's constant in life is change. So if you don't embrace that sustainability and so on, you're probably going to miss out some great opportunities because there's shifting consumer preferences. Mark referred to the younger cohort that's coming in as employees, their preferences, what they expect of companies to do, and so on. I think sustainability has to be at the core, and that even if you haven't had the chance to start out on this, I think ISWA is a great platform to learn more about it and access our companies, member companies like AMCS.
Thank you. And then finally, I want to, I suppose I want to close by asking you both a very open question. How do you think the business of a waste and recycling organization will look in 2040? And how optimistic are you that the circular economy can be realized and that waste and recycling companies can be at the heart of it?
You want to start there, Aditi?
Okay, fine. I'll go first. Well, that's a good question. I think it isn't only just nice to talk about a circular economy. I think it's going to be imperative for our industry. And when I talk about the waste recycling industry, I'm not only calling it the waste and recycling, it's the waste, recycling, and resource management industry. And I think it will be imperative that we look at the circular economy in a very detailed fashion. And I think we'll have to. And for me, if I was to just have like this ambition or this vision for 2050, which is not very far away, 2.5 decades away, our industry would help, achieve a fully circular economy where waste in quotations is minimized. I never said zero. We can minimize it, taking that curve down towards zero, where all our resources are being, very efficiently managed, and the environmental impacts are reduced, health impacts are reduced, and so on and so forth. So in this kind of a utopian, almost necessary vision, I would say our sector, the waste and recycling and resource management sector, would play an extremely crucial role as a catalyst towards this sustainability and so on. And we would also be the enablers of circular economy, because we would be not just talking to end of pipe. We're not just the waste managers anymore, but we would be talking to designers. We would be talking to producers, manufacturers, and so on, and also implement innovative technologies along these value chains and material loops and help close those cycles as well. So that's kind of a utopian or a wishful, I hope, a reality in the next 2 decades or so, because I think by maximizing resource efficiency and minimizing that waste generation, our industry, our sector can contribute a lot to the sustainability of the future, and also have a resilient future for all the generations to come. So yeah, that's my vision.
Thank you.
Oh, good. And I recognize a lot in what you say there, Aditi, and I think there is a massive opportunity for this industry to be that center player. I see some companies, small and big, taking this very seriously and either playing a role in a very small circular little mini economy for one specific waste stream, or playing, like the Suez, Veolia, and the big waste and recycling companies of the world, taking a bigger role in this. So it's a massive opportunity for a number of reasons. So one, it's the knowledge of what I call reverse logistics. It's no longer waste haulage anymore. It's returning a product back to a facility where we can bring it back to life into a new product. So that's reverse logistics. And some companies like PreZero in Germany, it's interesting to think about that. A company that is running grocery store chain is now also got a waste recycling and resource management, basically a reverse logistics company, quite significant, to bring back the material that they sell through their grocery stores back into the loop. So these kind of visionary companies will really, will drive this circular economy, because they have the infrastructure as well, right? They have the infrastructure. They've got the trucks. They know where they have to collect business. They have the technology to upcycle and to grade material and to bring it back and then to sell it back into the market. So I see there's a big role from that side. And I like what you said there, Aditi, about the starting point, of course, is this as well, where hopefully these customers in this area can influence. It's in the designing of the project, of the products, right? Mm. So circular design is a concept that, of course, this is where it all has to start. We have to design products to be ready for a circular economy, and then it can only, get going from there, right?
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Aditi. I'd like just then to summarize some of the takeaways from our conversation, from the report today. So in summary, we believe that there are reasons to be very cheerful and optimistic about the future of our industry. The sector is clearly committed to a sustainable and profitable future and sees digital transformation as a key enabler of this. I think what Aditi has shared with us is the view that sustainability now is seen as a value driver for innovation, much more than a cost center or compliance issue. And as Aditi said too, it offers many companies the opportunity to be catalysts and play a greater role in an emerging circular economy, not just the traditional end of pipe role, but right in the center of it as a resource broker. And another takeaway is that while challenges remain in terms of making an ROI on sustainability, I think what Aditi and Mark have said is companies need to look at sustainability at a wider lens, and developing a reputation in sustainability and performance in sustainability, it will help companies with other problems like attracting new customers, growing their businesses, and attracting a more diverse and skilled staff. Also today, we saw that as companies make their sustainability journey, they're grappling with the human aspects of technological change. And what I took away from today, from Mark and Aditi's comments, is that we believe that these human challenges are surmountable with the right change management, with the right user experience, with the right employee engagement and training. We can make these projects a success. So in summary, I would say, wherever you are in the audience on your sustainability journey, organizations like ISWA and AMCS are here, and we're ready to help you and collaborate with you and help you innovate, train, and engage your staff to create a more sustainable future for all of us. And with that, I would like to thank both Aditi and Mark, and thank all the audience for their time and the attention. I would invite the audience to type in any questions that they have into the chat box provided, and to reach out to us anytime if they've any question about the survey or anything that was discussed today. So I'd like to finish by thanking you and hoping that you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Conor. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi.